Good evening and welcome. And more importantly this evening, welcome back to East High. I'm Al Pace, Athletic Director, and I am privileged to have you here in these hallowed halls for tonight's Ring of Honor presentation ceremony. Before we begin, I would like to take this opportunity to recognize Mrs. Marla Pageant, Principal of East High, former alumnus. Assistant Principal Jared Smith. Obviously, Coach Cody Asmus, the 2012 varsity football team. I would like to thank our culinary arts students for the presentation that they made tonight, to all of you for the hors d'oeuvres and the things that they provided as well. Please note that we are filming this and broadcasting this evening, and if you would like to get a copy of that, please let us know and we can provide that for you as well. I would like to introduce tonight's Master of Ceremonies. Mr. Charlie Aldrich is a longtime member of the East High family, playing for East High, both as an assistant and a head coach for East High, and finally as a Ring of Honor member of East High. Mr. Charlie Aldrich.
All right, again, thank you, Mr. Pace, for allowing us to come over to East High School, bring it back to where it all happens right here on the corner of High and Vine, and we're really excited to be here. You know, a lot of you old alumni probably thought when you heard we're going to be in the cafeteria, commons area, you thought, oh God, you got to trek up 4 flights up to the old cafeteria up there, but that's not the case. We're very happy that we're here. For you new guys, you have no idea what I'm talking about, do you? Anyway, but thank you, Mr. Pace, and we wish you best of luck in your role as athletic director here. And one thing that really hit me with Mr. Pace is on his letterhead, East High letterhead, it has here the Trojan logos, but at the bottom it says East High Athletics, many teams, one program. So you're doing a great job of putting that all together, and continue good luck with that. Also, I'd like to make a major thank you to Mike Sheely and the Youth Sports Foundation for being our corporate sponsor and helping finance this wonderful event tonight. The Youth Sports Foundation is now in its 12th year. It is statewide, with thousands of 5th and 6th graders participating in youth football. How many of East High football players played youth football in the program? And brother, is it paying off? So thank you very much, Mr. Sheely. Now, as Mr. Pace introduced some school personnel, I'd also like to recognize several other East High dignitaries here tonight. First-year head boys baseball coach in attendance, John Magnuson. Where you at, John? Stand up, our baseball coach, John Magnuson. Our hard-working, dedicated warrior, the head wrestling coach, Coach Willie Gatson, right over here, Coach Gatson. This guy was a mentor and a guiding force for future East athletes while teaching at Logan Junior High School and Central Middle School. Wrestling Hall of Famer Jerry Springer. Where are you at, Jerry? Stand up, Jerry. The head coach of Wartburg's perennial national champs, the National Wrestling Coach of the Year multiple times, East High Athletic Hall of Famer, Coach Jim Miller. And with us tonight to help celebrate Mr. Buzzard's inductee is Jim Dushin, who's a 3-time Greco-Roman national champ, NCAA All-American. Jim Dushin, where are you at? Great to have you back. And I know Mr. Pace mentioned it, but I tell you what, I also want to mention, thank you, Ms. Pageant, for allowing us to come on over with Mr. Pace and put this on at East High School where it should be. And I tell you what, if you have not had a chance to meet Mrs. Pageant, she's a top-level, very classy lady that's going to do a great job with the leadership here at East High School. If you don't get a chance, come over and meet her. Again, Mrs. Pageant, we're glad to have you here. Former East High alumnus. Also, we have two former outstanding head coaches in attendance tonight. First, as an assistant coach under Coach Vernon, and later named head coach for the 1969-1970 football season. He guided East to a perfect 18-0 record and back-to-back state championships, including the epic battle between number 1 East and number 3 West in the final game of the season before 10,000 fans and a local TV audience. Welcome back, coming all the way from Wisconsin to join us tonight, Coach Bruce Wigman. And also the rock-solid engineer of the East football program for over 18 years, leading them to conference championships, state playoff appearances, and a state championship. The Iowa High School Coaches Hall of Famer and the winningest head football coach in the history of East High football, Coach Roger Kettleson. And I know Coach Pace, Mr. Pace said it, but let's move on to the present. Again, introducing Coach Cody Asmus, his staff, and the state playoff-bound East High football team as they prepare to beat West in a repeat performance from the last couple of years, the 2012 East High football team. Stand up, man. You know, we also had a lot of time where people would say, we're really happy to have this Ring of Honor. Just exactly what is the Ring of Honor? So we want to take a minute and explain it to you, that the Ring of Honor was established in 2005. This is the 8th year in existence. The event always coincides with East-West game because there's nothing better we like to do than celebrate a victory over West Waterloo. There are 46 members that have been inducted so far, and with tonight's 7 new inductees, we're proud to announce the grand total is 53 and counting. Our Ring of Honor mission is this. The Ring of Honor has been established to recognize former outstanding East High football players who excelled during their playing career at East High School. This select group of former Trojans will have made major contributions to the success of East High School football and brought positive recognition to the program from their outstanding achievements on the Gridiron for Orange and Black. The common denominator for all members of the Ring of Honor is knowing that regardless of the year that of their achievements or other team that they played on, they all share an equal status. Once identified, all Ring of Honor inductees attain a lifetime membership. Each member never graduates, never goes on the injury reserve list, is always eligible, never moves out of the districts, and he never transfers. This is one of the highest honors a football player can attain at East High School. So, let's introduce you to the Ring of Honor people that we have here tonight. Here tonight for this special occasion as we welcome 7 new members into the football fraternity of Hall of Famers. But first, I'd like to take a moment of silence in remembrance of our fallen members who are no longer with us. 2005 inductee Reggie Roby, 2007 inductee Pete Ross, and 2009 inductee Carlisle Bixby. Thank you. And let's move on and meet the ones that we have here tonight. I know it's very tempting to go ahead and applause and, recognize them. If you could hold it, as tempting as it may be, your applause until the end. Okay, starting guard and defensive end for East High 1966 and 67. His dominating presence and outstanding blocking ability was a key factor to an explosive offense which led East to 2 straight championships. An all-Metro, all-conference, and first-team all-stater, one of East High's biggest athletic boosters, 2005 inductee Mike Allen. Starting at quarterback for the 1970 state championship team, his pinpoint passing resulted in over 1,000 yards and 13 touchdowns through the air, and his elusive running for 250 more yards. Voted All-Metro, All-Conference, the general in charge and totally respected by all his teammates, 2007 inductee John Dunn. Starting at slot back on East, 2 straight state championship teams in 1970-1971. The high-stepping human bowling ball with deceptive speed and bruising power to run and block with equal talent, All-State selection, 2006 inductee Tracy Greer. The key blocker on the offensive line and holding a huge physical presence at outside linebacker, paving the way for East to win Big 8 championships and state playoff berths in 1986, 1987, and All-State first-team selection, 2005 inductee Sean Hewitt. The Pittsburgh Steeler-like center that propelled East's offensive line to a dominant running offense, which led them to conference champs in the semifinals in 1979. The man who left defensive nose guards black and blue after playing against him for a game. Later, a standout collegiate star at Simpson College, 2011 inductee Brian Jones. This is fun. Combining speed, quickness, and strength at slot back, he could run, catch, and block with equal ability, not caring which one he did as long as it helped East win football games, which happened time and time again when he played. 2011 inductee Randy Lee. This hit-seeking missile out of East's defensive backfield at strong safety could cover the run and pass with equal success. Named first-team All-Metro and All-Conference, his play elevated East to the 1986 playoffs, and currently assistant coach for the 2012 East varsity team, 2010 inductee Dave Magnuson. Carrying on the tradition of outstanding tailbacks at East, he led the Trojans to their first-time playoff appearance in 1973, while earning first-team All-State and All-American honors, starting his collegiate career at the University of Minnesota and ending it on a winning note at UNI, 2006 inductee Norm Montgomery. This three-year varsity player who participated in the 1979 semifinal game as a sophomore, and later a key member of UNI's 1985 Gateway Conference Championship football team, an outright leader in the offensive huddle at quarterback or the defensive huddle at safety. Now the leader of the East High track team, 2011 inductee Tim Moses. Combining speed, power, and agility when carrying the football, in addition to being a deadly weapon catching the ball out of the backfield. He was the main threat of an offense that led East to 2 straight state championships. The first-team All-Stater his junior and senior season, 2005 inductee Neil Moses. A multi-sport athlete, excelling in each sport he participated in. His efficient and precise blocking at center helped lead the way to East's first of 6 straight state championships in 1967. 2010 inductee Dave Neuendorf. He was East High's monster of the Midway on the offensive and defensive line, shutting down his opponent's play across from him, propelling East to win the 1970 state championship and being named first-team All-State, and later signing a letter of intent for football at Iowa State University. 2006 inductee Dwayne Ort. Playing split end for the 1967 state champions and always a threat to score anywhere he caught the ball on the field. He was selected All-State in football, All-State in basketball, and All-State in baseball, in addition to being voted East High's outstanding male athlete his senior year. First-team All-Stater, 2007 inductee Mike Roby. starting his East coaching resume at Logan Junior High School and on to East as a sophomore coach and later varsity assistant. His dedication to East football and desire to make every player better as a student, an athlete, and a valuable contributor to society, the man who bleeds orange and black eternally, 2007 inductee, Mike Sheely. Playing in the trenches, going both ways as an offensive tackle and a defensive nose, solidifying both sides of the ball and helping East secure its third straight state championship in 1968, being named All-State Selection, 2007 inductee, Cole Southworth. One of East High's most versatile offensive backs, playing quarterback one year and then tailback the next year and earning all-state recognition at both positions, leading East football team to successful seasons and state rankings. The do-it-all magician on offense, 2005 inductee, Gary Stevens. This elusive, quick, stop-and-go on a dime slot back, he was the driving force on offense that captured East's first state championship in 1967. Now director of UNI Center for Urban Education, 2008 inductee, Tony Stevens. The stallion in the line for East back-to-back Big 8 championships and state playoff teams in the late 80s. Voted All-Metro, All-Conference, and first-team All-State. The quiet man opposing defenses didn't want blocking them. 2007 inductee, Larry Teese. The rock-solid anchor at offensive and defensive tackle for Coach Vernon's first two football teams, having success in football at East High School and later Upper Iowa University. His leadership skills continued as an effective and outstanding assistant principal at East High School for over 30 years. 2008 inductee, Tom Thorson. Quarterback for the 1969 state championship team, he passed for over 1,000 yards on 47 completions for a staggering average of 21 yards per completion, leading an explosive offense. Named first-team All-State, the classic drop-back passer who could also bootleg just to tease his defenders, 2008 inductee, John Tovar. The offensive blocking catalyst on a dominating offense for the #1 ranked football team in the state in 1973. His passion, his team spirit, and his desire for East to excel was contagious as both an East player and later an East coach. The best storyteller of all Trojan football, 2010 inductee, Rocket Ron Turner. This coach was the professor of the offensive line, instructing his East players how to do it the right way during the week and seeing them pass the test each Friday night, propelling an East offense that dominated its opponents. His coaching record, while an assistant at East for 6 years, was an astounding 49 wins, 4 losses, and 1 tie. 2010 inductee, Larry Van Ort. Ladies and gentlemen, without a doubt, we have a collection of the greatest former players and coaches in the state of Iowa in one place, at one time, for one event, the East Waterloo High School Ring of Honor members. Let's hear it for them. Okay, let's move on to our Ring of Honor inductees that we got going right now. And one thing I do want to mention before we get going and introduce them all is 2 things that is very striking with this group, in addition to their outstanding prowess on the football field. Number 1 is they were multi-sport athletes. not only did they excel, and the same thing with all these guys, not only did they excel on the field for football for East High School, they excelled for other sports, which elevated and propelled the entire East High athletic department at that time. And like Mr. Pace says, it's many teams, but one program. And as you hear these people, the resume on them, you'll listen to what else they did besides just football to help East High School be a top-notch athletic program. The second thing is, also note what they did after they got done, playing football at East High School. They moved on, and they were great volunteers, contributor to society, valuable workforce, and just generally was an asset to our whole society, and part of that was being a key of playing at East High School. With that said, let's move on to our Coaches Award. Our first Coaches Award is this. If you think you know a lot about East High football, and you haven't heard of Howard Vernon, fact is you don't know nothing about East High football. After 5 successful years as a football coach and athletic director at West Central and Maynard, Coach Vernon was hired at East High School. And as Ring of Honor inductee Tom Thorson was talking about it one day, Tom was a player when Coach Vernon got named as the head coach. And Tom is saying, you know, hey, we're from East. Who is this guy coming from Dinky, West Central, and Maynard coming to East High School? What kind of hick did they hire here? What are we stuck with? But boy, did the culture and the atmosphere immediately change when he arrived, demanding and expecting nothing but the best from his players and coaches. He began an undefeated football streak that lasted 6 years, resulting in state championships and a 57-game winning streak. He left coaching at East High School to become the principal of East High School. But 2 top-notch assistant coaches under his tutelage were named head coaches. Coach Wigman and Coach Kettleson continued the East tradition as they each won state championships. He left East High School to become offensive coordinator for the University of Iowa's football team under head coach Bob Cummings. Continuing in education, he was named principal at Iowa City High School and elevated that school to prominence in athletics and academics. Selected to the Iowa Football Coaches Hall of Fame, Upper Iowa University, Waterloo Sports and Sorts Hall of Fame. He was also Iowa's Secondary Principal of the Year, in addition to being selected Iowa High School Athletic Association Administrator of the Year, award winner. He's the guy that when he spoke, I mean, even E.F. Hutton listened. Anyway, 2000, East High School Football Hall of Fame is proud to welcome into the Ring of Honor 2012 inductee Howard Vernon.
It's really an honor to be here at City High School. In fact, what a challenge the students here at City High or at East High has. And with these facilities, they can't help but be the best. I happen to be a retired principal from City High School, and I watched the game that East and City played, and I was very impressed with how East High played that game. And they're only that far from being doggone good, I can tell you that right now. And you know, anybody that has any success has to rely on a lot of other people. I mean, Bruce and Larry and Tom and all these people have had a big hand in all of this. I remember when I was interviewed for the principal's job here at East High, Charles Hoffman, the great Fox. He asked me, he said, "You're only 29 years old. How do you expect to administer a school without having a little gray hair?" And I said, "Well, Mr. Hoffman, my father told me to help older people across the street if they need help them get in and out of the cars and so on. but he never one time told me they were better. He never told me they were better than me. He said, I've never heard that before. And fortunately, he hired me. He asked me, when I was going to college, how many minorities did you go to college with? I said, well, I went to school with quite a few. 2. At any rate, I was fortunate enough that they did hire me here at East Waterloo, and I've had nothing but fond memories throughout my career about East Waterloo. I see some of these former players, and Tony, I haven't seen you in a long while, and all of you have just got so much to be proud of. And I just can't see how you can fail with the facilities that you have now. This is mind-boggling. I've never seen a school with the facilities that you have now and the support that you have among this community. So I want to wish all of you a lot of success, and I'm very pleased to see some of the old timers and get to renew my relationships with you. Thank you.
You can hang with me. I see we have another Ring of Honor gentleman that just walked in, and we want to recognize him. Lou Montgomery, high school All-State, All-American. Lou Montgomery played for the University of Iowa when they went to 4 bowl games and played in the coveted Rose Bowl. Lou, glad to have you here. You know, as we said before, we started the Ring of Honor in 2005, and we've been admitting inductees there ever since. But there's been a lot of inductees that maybe have passed away before that we do want to still recognize and make sure that we go ahead and pay tribute to them as we get going. So we have our first football award winner that we're giving in memorial to, and the first one is William Big Sun Flowers. William was a 2-time All-State lineman in 1934 and 1935, playing for the legendary Coach Raffensperger's highly successful football team. The 196-pound lineman was quicker than most other teams' running backs and even returned kickoffs. Now, Coach Assman, I don't think you have any of your tackles running back kickoffs. I don't think so. That gives you a tribute about what type of player he was at 196 pounds in 1930s, running back the plays. He is considered by many of that era as one of the best football players ever to come out of East High School. He retired after 45 years of steady employment at Rath Packing Company. And I was visiting with Jerry Springer back there, and Jerry told me that when he first got out of high school, he got a job at Rath, got a chance to meet Big Sun Flowers, and said what a class act, what a great gentleman he was, not only off the field, but as well as how hard he played on the field. And I guess a tribute to Big Sun Flowers is that he is still talked about and remembered 30 to 40 to 50 years later. And I guess I'd ask, being a football player going through East High School, right here in the crowd, you guys Ring of Honor, how many of you guys, when you came through East High School, heard of Big Sun Flowers? Right. How many have ever seen him play, besides Thorson? But, he's still remembered. And how many other guys can you remember that played in the 30s, let alone the 40s? That's how well he was. He also left a legacy behind that Coach Kettleson deeply, deeply appreciated, as five of his grandsons played varsity football here at East. Norm Montgomery, Will Montgomery, Cornelius Montgomery, Carl Montgomery, and Lou Montgomery all played for Coach Kettleson, helping East continue its success on the football field, which their grandfather performed so magnificently in 1934, 1935. Tonight, his grandson, Will Montgomery, an outstanding athlete in his own right, is here tonight to accept the honor on his behalf. The Eastside Football Hall of Fame is proud to welcome into the Ring of Honor 2012 inductee, William Big Sun Flowers.
It is indeed an honor to represent my family and my grandfather in the presence of all you great former athletes. Certainly William Big Son Tiger Flowers is deserving to have a place amongst you. I'll get back to Tiger in a minute. I've often wondered, where did he get the name Big Son from? And I have to believe he probably was the biggest kid in the neighborhood, probably the fastest kid. But coaches, when you take a kid that's the biggest kid and the fastest kid, but can run and jump and turn just like a kid much smaller than him, what you have is the DNA of a superior athlete. His coach Raffensperger, who's now retired, nicknamed him Tiger. And I have to believe that if you take all of this athletic talent and you put the heart of a tiger into this athlete, then you have someone that is unable to be blocked. You can't catch him, you can't tackle him, you can't block him. And so that's why tonight we're honoring an athlete that made All-State actually in 3 different positions. A guard, a tackle, a guard, a receiver, and a back in 1934, 1935, and 1936. I can remember a lot of memories about my granddad, but I think that I have to tell you that he was a great man as well. He was the best grandfather that a young kid could ever have. Just think about being an 8 or 9-year-old kid and your granddad is a local legend. And you're riding around town with someone, everybody knew him, everybody loved him. He was fun to be with, he was kind. He was the best granddad that any of the 17 of us could have. He has 17 grandchildren and a host of great-grandchildren. One of my favorite memories of my granddad, and there are many, was when I was a senior in high school. It was our homecoming game. And kids, just so that you know, we came out at halftime and it was pouring rain. And it was our homecoming game as well. I don't want to wish you any bad luck tomorrow, but it was pouring rain. And I remember us warming up in the south end zone, and I looked over into the stands and everyone had pretty much left, and rightfully so. And I looked back in the corner, and there sat my granddad in this pouring rain, along with my grandmother, Addie Flowers. And I said to myself, why are they even here in this pouring rain? And then it struck me that they were there for me, just like they were there for Norm and Lou and all of the other 17 grandchildren that he had. So on behalf of all of his grandchildren, his great-grandchildren, on behalf of the Flowers family, the Johnson family, and the Montgomery family, we want to give a special thank you to Mike Allen for helping us get information together. Mike, we appreciate it. And we want to thank the committee for reaching back 75 years to honor our grandfather, my papa, William Big Son Tiger Flowers. Thank you.
One thing I forgot to mention earlier, and Mr. Smith has probably cut my head off, but there is going to be a pep assembly tomorrow. And for you old guys, it's out in the front of the old building. I don't know which is front nowadays, and any of you new guys coming here know where front or back is, but we just go where the High Street, where the columns are. 2 o'clock, you'd like to get there, help support the football team, get fired up for when they play West. Be a great opportunity. Now, tomorrow's game is designated a home game for West, but we're going to come on out with a nice crowd, put it to West High School, and they're not going to feel so much at home after the game is done. So come on out tomorrow for the pep assembly at 2 o'clock. Our next inductee is Don Buzzard. Don was a member of Coach Vernon's first winning football team at East. Playing center and middle linebacker, he earned all-state recognition at center because they didn't have all-state defensive awards at that time. He played football at the time, and there's another player by the name of Dick Butkus who was playing for the Chicago Bears. It's my understanding, Mr. Buzzard, that you like to emulate yourself like Dick Butkus, play like Dick Butkus, hit like Dick Butkus. He even had the same initials, DB, as Dick Butkus. And there wasn't nobody going to tell Don different. What Don Buzzard wanted to do, for you guys to remember, whatever Don Buzzard wanted to do, Don Buzzard was going to do. As Gary Stevens said, if he wanted to say he was howdy doody, nobody's going to tell Don Buzzard he's not howdy doody. Don was a multiple sport athlete, earning 10 varsity letters in his athletic career. Don excelled in wrestling, earning state runner-up as a freshman. Now let's go back a second. State runner-up as a freshman. That was before they had ninth grade at East High School. So during the day, he would be a ninth grader in McKinstry, get done, come over to East and wrestle. And by the way, as a freshman, he finished second in the state. He later won back-to-back individual championships at 165 and 180 pounds, propelling East to the state wrestling championship. And Coach Gadsden, it's another guy, an Iowa State to an Iowa State guy. I hate to see you two guys go at each other, but it would be good. He received a football scholarship at Iowa State, but he switched over to wrestling there, twice earning All-American honors in that sport. Don was also a valuable member of the 1964 Olympic wrestling team in Tokyo. He was easily and unanimously named East High's most valuable athlete his senior year. The East High Football Hall of Fame is proud to welcome into the Ring of Honor 2012 inductee, Don Buzzard.
Thank you very much. I really don't have anything planned. I didn't realize that we'd have to speak here, but this is well appreciated, and thank you very much.
Our next inductee is Emmett Hoosman. Emmett had an outstanding athletic career at East and was a dominating multi-sport athlete. He was a 3-year co-captain in each sport his senior year. Now let's try to imagine that. Captain of the football team, captain of the basketball team, captain of the track team. That's how much respect and leadership Emmett Hoosman had. He earned all-state recognition in football, and Emmett was also an all-state selection in basketball, playing for the legendary Murray Weir state tournament team. He also was a top performer on the East track team, where he was the state champ in the high school event, high jump event in 1959. Emmett was another one, like Big Sunflowers, that when he went to East High School, you heard stories about his athletic feats, but a lot of them had never really seen him play. But man, the stories moved on. And one story I remember, if I can share it with you, is that we were playing basketball, and we were also playing basketball for Coach Weir's team. And we were at practice one day, and Coach Weir was complaining, like Coach Weir always complained, that, we're not jumping enough, we're not elevating enough, we're not getting up off our feet. We need to jump, we need to get up there. And he goes, Jesus, if I only had anybody around here who could jump like Emmett Hoosman, we'd be okay. Well, Mike Woodley was a teammate at that time, and Mike wasn't afraid to ask anybody anything, and he said, oh, you think, can Hoosman jump that high, Coach? He goes, yeah. He said, can he jump that high? He says, I tell you what, Coach, if you put a quarter on the top of the bank board, those rectangular bank boards, if you put a quarter on the top of the bank board, could Hoosman jump up and catch it? Could Hoosman jump up and get it? And Coach Weir said, yeah, he could, but only if he got to keep the quarter. With that said, the Eastside Football Hall of Fame is proud to welcome into the Ring of Honor 2012 inductee Emmett Hoosman.
I'm not much for speaking. I really appreciate this award. These years that I spent at East High was a wonderful thing for me. And I'm so proud to see our tradition coming back to East High. Continue, fellas.
We're very happy to announce our next inductee, DeAndre Jones. DeAndre was a wide receiver, defensive back, and was named All-Conference in a very tough Mississippi Valley Conference, and was also selected as a member of the All-State team his senior year. He was also a successful letter winner in East basketball and East track team. Visiting with Coach Jones prior to this, we're trying to talk about, is there a highlight, or is there a story that best exemplifies DeAndre's excellence on the field and how great an athlete he was. And we came up with this story, which is a true one. In 1993, we went down to play Cedar Rapids Jefferson at Memorial Stadium in Cedar Rapids. Brian Jones was the head coach, and he didn't exactly exchange Christmas cards with their head coach at Jefferson. Didn't get along very well. Coach Jones's desire to win that game was as intense as ever, but it was raised several notches due to the bad blood between those two. Now, East was behind 6-0 late in the third quarter when DeAndre was in a twin set, and he caught about a 12-yard curl pass from Gabe Benson. Gabe, where are you at here? Gabe Benson, quarterback at that time. Through the pass, DeAndre proceeded to elude the first tackler, sidestep another tackler, and using his great track speed, raced downfield for a 58-yard touchdown, giving East the 7-6 lead, which secured the victory that night. Afterwards, Coach Jones got his in-your-face handshake with that other coach, with the Jefferson coach. He came over and gave D-Rock an uplifting, massive bear hug that would have broke about any other football player in half. Now, I don't know, DeAndre, if you were ever as stiff and sore after playing all the other games as you might have been as stiff and sore as getting that bear hug from an excitable and emotional Coach Jones after that victory. DeAndre continued playing football at South Dakota University, earning North Central Conference Freshman of the Year award and chosen to the All-Conference team the next 3 years, and he became the team's captain. His senior year, he finished his career as the number 4 all-time interception leader and participated in the prestigious Snow Bowl game. The D-Rock didn't stop playing after college, and he played 4 more years in the Arena Football League in Sioux City. Currently, the assistant principal and athletic director at McMillan Magnet School in Omaha, giving guidance and instruction to the youth there. The East High Football Hall of Fame is proud to welcome into the Ring of Honor 2012 inductee, DeAndre Jones.
All right. First and foremost, I'd like to thank my parents, Derek Robinson, Redmond Smart, and Patricia Smart. Without your love, without your support, I wouldn't be standing here today. My grandmother, Alice Reed, thank you. Thank you so much for everything you've done for me over the years. Thank you for not jumping onto the football fields anymore when I continued to play in high school and college, as she did that when I was at Logan Middle School. I grew up not too far from here. When I started kindergarten at McKinstry, I lived at 232 Maple Street. If you don't know where that is directly 100 feet behind us. There's an apartment me and my mother lived in. I caught the bus. I got to see Eastside Trojans from the class of '81 on go to school every single day. I have always been a diehard Trojan. It has always been emphasized to me That was the school I was going to go to, and this is the team I was going to play for. The first song I learned was the East High Fight song. I've participated in many homecoming marches without my mom knowing, sneaking all the way down, what is that, 4th Street, 5th Street? I went to Logan. I went to East High. This is my heart. This is the school I always wanted to go to. As a sophomore, I moved. I moved to 657 Real. I got called into the office by the athletic director, Mr. Thorson, and Brian Jones, kind of closed door meeting, and they asked me, DeAndre, where do you live at? I said, 657 Real Street. Thorson looked at me again and asked me, he said, where do you live at? I said, 657 Real Street. Coach Jones grabbed me by my hand and said, DeAndre, where do you live at? 2625 East 4th Street, sir. Coach Jones, Coach Montgomery, Coach Moses, Coach Lampman, I can't thank you enough for the opportunities you guys gave me. To this day, I'm so thankful. It has always stuck with me. You guys putting the ball in my hand and telling me I'm the man, go win the game. I want to instill that in each and every one of my student athletes, in each and every one of my children. It's the things I've learned here over the years have stuck with me, and I thank God I was born in Waterloo, Iowa. In the 18 years I've been away from home, not one person in any different state that I've told I'm from Waterloo, Iowa, ever told me I was from that other school. They always said, you went to East. And I said, you're damn right. In closing, I want to say thank you. I want to say 2012 team, keep fighting. We're proud of you. We'll always be proud of you. I'm truly honored, Coach Jones. I'm truly honored for everything you've given me. Coach Shealy, thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Continuing on with our outstanding list of inductees is Walter Reed. Walter was a starting guard for the East 1971 state championship team that extended its winning streak to 56 games while being named to all-county and all-state teams. I had the privilege of being a teammate of Walter when he was a junior, my senior year. And Walter, what I remember is I used to talk with the starting offensive line, guys like Dwayne Ort and Craig Atkins and Joe Rogers, and they'd always say how it was a pain in the butt to have to block you every day in practice. And they had to practice against you week after week after week. Said preparing for the upcoming game. They said blocking players from Mason City, Fort Dodge, and Marshalltown is a heck of a lot easier than practicing against Walter Reed during the week. You know, what made East so successful during that time, it was year after year, was good. And that Walter, as a senior, he then dominated the line, the defensive line, because he didn't have the likes of Dwayne Ort, Craig Atkins, and Joe Rogers blocking him every game like at practice his junior season. After playing at East, Walter chose to play football at Wartburg and continued his excellence as a starting defensive lineman on their nationally ranked football team. Upon graduation, he served as commissioner and executive director on the human rights for the city of Waterloo. His resume to preserve the rights of others is as thick as a Sears catalog. He is currently the civil rights coordinator for the Department of Transportation in Ames, Iowa. His legacy in volunteer work in Waterloo includes 20 years as the president of the Gates Park Youth Basketball League, which propelled many young athletes in our area to be so successful in the game of basketball and in the game of life. He was also, using his sports knowledge as a sports broadcaster for over 18 years at KBBG Radio with his counterpart, Benny Walker, here tonight. The East High Football Hall of Fame is proud to welcome into the Ring of Honor 2012 inductee, Walter Reed.
First of all, I want to acknowledge my wife, Geneva, and my daughter, Bridget, my grandkids that are here tonight, because the reality is that much of what I've done since high school would not be possible without their support and without their help. So I just want to acknowledge them first. Secondly, I want to acknowledge my coach, Wigman, Coach Kettleson, and Coach Van Ort. One of the things I remember the most with Dwayne and all of the guys, Ron Turner and those guys, is those doggone drills hitting that sled. Man, Coach would grab that sled, and he knew he better hang on to it or we'd run right over it. We would get that sled and we would have that thing tipped up like this, and we would go. And I tell you, when the game came, it was nice to hit somebody else other than Dwayne. We had a great career at East High School, and what I learned the most at East High School from Coach Wigman and Coach Kettleson and Coach Van Ort is really how to live life. It prepared you so much for what you're going to do after you leave this school. And I've been successful in a number of different venues since I left East High School. The gentlemen that are sitting in front of me, I've known for 40 years or more. And they took care of me then, and they're taking care of me now. That's what you guys got to really know, is that this is just the start. You'll be up here 40 years from now saying some of the same things. I've had the privilege of having my friends with me tonight. Benny Walker, I call him my brother, because Benny and I watched DeAndre, all of these guys. We had the privilege of calling these guys' name on the radio for 20 years, and we watched them all through high school. They're married, they got kids. Some of them would send their grandkids and their kids back so that we would play with those kids and provide an opportunity for them in the Gates Basketball League. I love East High School so much that all of my family went to East High School. All of my children, I got 7 kids. All 7 went to East High School. All 7 graduated from East High School. All 7 were talented and participated in East High School. So East High School means a lot to me. Wherever I go, somebody's asking me about East High School, because East High School is the team to beat. And that's what you guys got to recognize. You guys are famous. You guys are known all across the country. You guys have this resource right here that you can fall back on, because I do. I cherish them. I really feel a kinship spirit with all of these players right here. You're never alone. That's what you got to remember. So whatever you go through, any questions you might have, when you get prepared to leave here, there's somebody here that is willing to help you along your way. So with that, I'm honored to be part of the fraternity, and I'll do whatever I can to continue to make you proud of what I do every day. Thank you very much.
And now completing the panel of tremendous inductees is Mike Watkins. Mike was a starting tight end on the 1968 undefeated state championship team, earning All-Metro and All-State honorable mention. Mike's forte was his toughness, his meanness, and his outstanding blocking ability at that position. When you're at tight end in an offense featuring All-Americans Jerry Moses, Andrew Robinson, and explosive players like Carl Anderson, Dennis Hankner, Glenn Moore, and Mike Woodley, your chances of getting the ball in your hands aren't all that good. Not because of Mike's great football ability offensively, which was outstanding, but his teammates were simply exceptional. His blocking on the powers, the sweeps, and downfield was a key to an unbelievable juggernaut on offense. I think many opponents would rather tackle Mike after he caught a pass than try to shut off his bone-crushing blocks. Mike was also a two-time all-conference and all-state selection in baseball at East. He later went to Ellsworth Junior College, where he was all-conference there and played in the prestigious Junior College World Series. He signed a baseball scholarship with Northwest Missouri State, but due to an injury there, transferred to UNI, where upon graduating, he secured a job at John Deere's purchasing department for the next 35 years. The Waz continued in baseball as he played slow-pitch softball, John Dunn, Sports World, right? For Sports World, and was elected in the Waterloo Softball Hall of Fame. Mike's athletic bloodline continued with their 3 children as they all competed in Waterloo athletics, and each of them were selected all-state in at least one sport, and later all 3 played athletics at the collegiate level. Now retired, after volunteering to serve the youth in Waterloo as he coached Optimist baseball and softball and AAU baseball for over 15 years. The East High Football Hall of Fame is proud to welcome into the Ring of Honor 2012 inductee Mike Watkins.
Okay, I hope you can hear me out here. I think I'll take some of Hoosman and Buzzard's minutes, so hang in there. All right, first of all, I just want to say that I am proud and humbled to be a part of East Waterloo tradition. Great football tradition. You young kids, you're on your way. You're on your way. I want to tell you, this is where it was at when I was growing up. This is where it was at, East High. Also want to tell you, I wasn't a college, high school All-American like some of these guys. I wasn't first team All-State. I was one of those players like the bulk of the people in this room. I went out and I made my teammates better. And I'm taking some of these guys' minutes. I'm going to tell a couple brief stories what it was like when I went to East High School. I actually lost my first game up here over on Vine Street to West High 13-6 on a Saturday. We went to practice on Monday up at Ferguson Field. Coach brought out a club. Club this long, he didn't use one hand, he used 2. Hit you in the helmet and the shoulder pads. One guy told me he missed, I don't know. I don't know if it was the club, maybe a little to do with it. We ran the table that year. Played West High again, beat them 49-6. Now the paper had that I had 18 unassisted tackles, so I thought, hey, I can play this game. We'll get to my junior year next. Mr. 18 tackles found out it wasn't that easy. This junior class that I was with was loaded, tough, physical. Coach made us that way. We would hit 3 days a week hard. Then he had a couple drills. He would blow that whistle and yell, hit. Whoever you were next to, you hit him. And I mean, you hit him until he said stop and you didn't dog it. He also had a drill. He'd blow that whistle and say, circle up. Everybody got in a circle. There was 32 of us, and you went at it. You didn't dog it. I was in there after about 3 or 4 sessions of that. It wasn't football hitting, it was boxing. I went home one night with my knuckles bleeding. It made us tough, and we loved it. We didn't complain. Last practice of my junior year, come out of East High here, going down to Vine Street, Rath Packing Company. You young kids don't know what that is. Largest single meat packing plant in the nation was 1.5 miles down here. That particular night, the last practice of my junior year, it was ripe. The air was ripe. You could hardly breathe. We got down to Vine Street, warmed up. Coach said, he blew the whistle, and hey, this was the night before our last game, and I didn't know what was going on. And he said, come on in here, we got to talk. And he said, smell that air. You could hardly breathe it, but he said, smell that air. That hit home for me. My dad worked for 37 years at RAS. I'd smelled that my whole life. Coach Vernon said, that's East High School. That's East High School. He says, I want to tell you something else. He said, tonight's paper has a East versus West. It would put the East High pictures and the West High starters. Then it would have a little saying. Well, this particular night it had Battle of the Backs. West High had a kid that transferred in, probably rushed for 500 yards. He was probably a good football player. Our backs that year, the feature back that they were probably talking about was first team All-State, as a junior, a senior, went to the University of Iowa, played a year, didn't like it, went to Miami, played 2 years, played 4 years in the NFL, won a Super Bowl ring. Coach didn't like the analogy there. He said, I want that guy out of there. Steak dinner if you take him out of there. We won the game handily, over by 40 points. Their feature back didn't make it through the first quarter. East Waterloo. Now I'll get on to my senior year, and I'm telling you, this was something else. What an experience. My first game of my senior year, we had won 37 games in a row. 37 games in a row. The administration downtown, in my feeling, wanted to test East High and see how good we really were. We were cocky. They brought in a team from Chicago, St. Joe's of Chicago. This was a school, all-male school, 4,500 kids. These guys were good. This was the Chicago Catholic League. At that time, it was probably the best prep league in the United States. Dick Butkus played in that league. Notre Dame, Ohio State, Michigan State all recruited this league. They had the state runner-up 100 meters champion on that team. These guys were good. So we'll see what happened. We bust over to Sloan Wallace. That's where we played those games. I happened to be one of the captains of that game. Coach stopped us right at the bus door, and he said, they're on our half of the field. You knock them on their ass right now. We ran out there, and I'm telling you, I hit my guy. I looked around. There was 4 bodies stretched out on the ground. This is before the game. Before the game. Make a long story short, we were ahead 69-19 when they stopped the game, and this was due to an altercation in the stands. We didn't know what was going on, and my day I played offense, defense, I was on every team. But anyway, the police surrounded the football field. They escorted us to the bus. I was still kind of dazed. Got to the bus, come back over here to East High. Coach says, hey, don't shower. The school's on fire at the other end. I'm telling you. So I got in my car. I lived over by Old Roosevelt grade school, just west of Gates Park. It was a heck of a time getting home, I'll tell you, down 4th Street that night. But I got home. We didn't have cell phones in that day. We didn't have cable TV. So I got home, and hey, I just caught the first touchdown, 68 yards. Man, I thought, hey, I'm on my way. This is my senior year. I get home, and I'm sitting on my steps, and I look up at East High because Coach had said, don't shower. The school's on fire. I'm sitting on my steps, and I look up here, and it's a glow of red. You guys remember it, a glow of red, and I thought, holy smokes, East High's gone. I didn't know anything about it. My phone was ringing off the hook, and I didn't know. I don't answer phones. My wife Linda knows that. I don't answer phones. A couple of the players come over later. They told me what had happened. There was a couple businesses that were destroyed that night. National Guard come into Waterloo. They locked up East High, every door except one. That was the football facility. We still practiced. We still practiced. We still played. No one would come to Waterloo to play us. We had to go on the road to play on a Saturday. It was tough, but we hung together. We hung together. Our first game that we played on a Saturday at Mason City, I'll tell you a brief story here. I know I'm rattling on. We played Mason City. We were ahead 7-0 at halftime. We averaged 49 points a game, 7-0. We went in their locker room, and it was the size of a city bus. Had some benches around it and lockers. Coach grabs the biggest guy he could find, and this kid was a first-team All-State center, 3-year starter at UNI. He throws him into that locker 3 or 4 times, just throws him in there. Hey, that got us going that second half. That got us going. And I'll remember the first series down there. We were running a sweep to the left, and our tailback runs left. It was clogged. He goes to the right. I was a tight end, split out. I went down and threw on a guy, got up, and he was running back around this way, so I just took off and ran right at him. As he saw me, jumped out of the way, I knocked down 2 guys, I thought. Apparently a third guy tripped over the pile too. We made the PAT, and I come walking off the field, and Murray Weir, our athletic director, great guy, high school, all-star, NBA all-star, he come up to me all excited, and he was spitting all over me. He says, "I saw what you did, I saw what you did." And apparently I knocked out 3 guys. He says, "I'm going to tell Vernon, I'm going to tell Vernon." Well, I don't know if he ever did, but bottom line is here, we won that game. And after that game, Mr. Weir come up to me and he says, you're probably not going to make All-State, but he says, you're the kind of guy that goes out there and makes your teammates better. And I never told anyone that story before because, hey, I thought if you knew Mr. Weir, I thought he was cutting me down, but he wasn't. That was just his way of motivating me, and I felt good about it, and I was proud I went to East High. In closing here, I just want to tell you young players over there, listen up here now. You don't need a club upside your head to make you a star. You don't need a bounty laid on the table to make you good. You need that passion, that drive to go out there and make your teammates better. Hey, you already got it. Smell the air. You're East Waterloo. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, Watkins, I think you're next year's MC. And now, to finish the night off on the best note available, it's time to sing those notes of the East High Fight Song. And George and Rick, we don't need cue cards, and we don't need a karaoke machine, because everybody should know this song by heart. I'm going to have the Bruce Springsteen of East High School come on up here, and I'd like to have everybody stand up. We'll all sing it together. We'll close the night on that note. Take a picture.
Now you gotta wait for this now before we get to the regular lyrics. So here we go. Here we go. Oh, we're taking pictures after, so don't take off.